What's up everybody? It's Courtney, aka the OK's Trail Runner, and I'm here today to show you my very favorite leg day workouts. Now, first a disclaimer, I'm gonna go through these exercises, I'm gonna give you a little demo, but you should absolutely talk to your PT about what exercises you should be doing. So whether this is a qualified physical therapist or an actual personal trainer, I highly recommend that you actually go get a gait assessment done and see what your weak areas might be, and that's gonna help guide your exercises. But general rule of thumb, what I'm about to show you are excellent exercises for trail and ultra runners that are gonna help build strong hips, strong glutes, strong hamstrings, and strong calves so you could conquer the trails. All right, watch for more. All right, everybody, so we're gonna start focusing on, let's say, glutes and hamstrings as a starting point. One of my very favorite exercises is single leg RDLs, right? Which, if your balance is a little bit off, this might be kind of challenging for you. So there are a few different things that you could do to get started with this exercise. Also, first and foremost, I just want to mention that if you are new to all of these, I suggest doing them just with body weight. The goal with all these exercises is to do 3 sets of maybe 8 to 10 reps. So these are higher rep exercises. Single leg RDL, like I said, you could do these just body weight. And if you're struggling with balance, there's a few things you could do. First, you could kickstand this back leg, right? So just barely put a toe down. Make sure you have some good form. And you go down, and again, 8 to 10 on each leg. The reason this exercise is so awesome is that not only are you working your glutes and your hamstrings in this process, but you're also working your balance and your ankle strength. So it's definitely like a dual purpose exercise that I totally love for that reason. Now the next exercise, let me straighten my camera. Very similar vein. If you want to do something a little bit different, if you have either a bench or a box, would be your classic split squat here. So one leg back on the bench. By the way, hot tip, easy way to find where to put your foot. Sit on the bench, put your leg out, put the heel down, other leg back, and slight forward lean here. Again, you could do these with weight or without. Absolutely excellent exercise for your glutes and for your hamstrings. Also pretty good for balance, right? You might be kind of wobbly doing these. Totally fine. So, on the same vein again, we're saying glutes, hamstrings. If you have a box or a bench, again at the gym, the next exercise would be a step up. This is one of my absolute favorite exercises. Again, we're keeping exercises here that kind of mimic what you're doing on the trails, right? So a step up, imagine you have a really big climb, maybe something super steep. It's working all these muscles right in your posterior chain. So step ups, super awesome. Okay, so this is like my absolute favorite hamstring exercise. A lot of you think like, well, I gotta go to the gym to work hamstrings because there's a hamstring curl machine. No, you don't. This exercise is going to completely burn up your hamstrings, but you gotta do it right. There's a few tips I'm gonna give you because there are a few different ways you can do this and they work slightly different things. You're going to put the foam roller out, little ways away, not super close to your butt out here, little ways away. You're gonna lay down. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna have the balls of your feet on the foam roller. You're gonna lift up your hips, but not in a full glute bridge like this, okay? You actually wanna keep your hips lower. And what that is going to do is work your hamstrings more. So you're keeping this lower bridge, make sure that your hips are tucked, right? We don't wanna be going into any kind of extension, keep the hips tucked. So you're just barely lifting your butt off the ground, not a lot. And you're gonna go up on the balls of your feet. So this is working not only your hamstrings, but also your calves at the exact same time. And this exercise is a little bit different in that you're gonna wanna hold this for 20 to 30 seconds and do this at least 2 times through. I absolutely love this exercise as like a little pre-run warm-up because again, it just gets that whole posterior chain completely lit up. Then if you're really feeling spicy and you wanna progress this, you can march it out. So again, keeping that good form, balls of your feet on the foam roller. This is taking a ton of hamstring control. Holy cow. This is such a great one. All right, so that is a fabulous, fabulous hamstring exercise. Another one, if you really want to get crazy working hamstrings, would be this kind of glute bridge walkout. So while I'm down here, what you could also do, similar fashion, you know, go up into your little bridge, again, keeping hips tucked back. And this is especially good for anybody that has high hamstring issues. You kind of walk your feet out and hold in this position. So your legs are fully extended, you're on your heels. And then what you could do as you progress this is lift a leg up and do an isometric hold. That totally is firing your high hamstring. So anybody that has high hamstring issues, this exercise is incredible. You could do walkouts, so you could walk it in, walk back out, lift up a leg and hold, lift up another leg. Awesome for high hamstring. All right, now we have done a ton of hamstrings. So you're probably like, okay, Courtney, let's do something else. Let's talk about calves. Okay, so one thing about calves that I definitely want to talk to y'all about is the fact that you want to make sure that you're working both your gastroc and your soleus. Your soleus is often overlooked in strength training. You might do regular calf raises and think you're working the full calf. Absolutely not. A lot of people undertrain their soleus. It takes a ton of load in the gait cycle because when we run, our leg is bent, right? And when you have that bent knee, that's engaging the soleus muscle. So you want to work the soleus and the gastroc. So I'm going to show you a couple simple calf exercises. Then I'm going to describe to you a couple other variations that'll really get your calves fired. So, general calf exercises. You could always do this without weight, but you know, grab your wall, grab your weight, and you want to make sure with these that you're using really good form, right? So like going all the way up onto the very ball of your foot, as high as you could possibly go. And if you can't get all the way up there, remove the weight, right? Or lower the number of reps. There's actually some good data that suggests that if you're a runner, you should be able to do 30 single leg calf raises. Now, I promise you, if you try to do 30 of these with good form, slow and controlled, you're probably going to struggle. So that's a good way to know whether or not you're doing enough with calves. So for the soleus version, what you're gonna do, again, you can do these body weight, just bend your knee. And now you're working your soleus muscle. However, there's another great soleus exercise that I love called the Soleus Slouch. This one's a little bit tricky, but you're gonna go kind of in that kickstand position that we talked about before. Your front knee is going to be just a little bit bent, and the key is that you're not gonna move it. Your knee is not involved in this movement. What you're gonna do is you're literally going to slouch forward real slowly, do a little hold down there. This is engaging the soleus. Again, slightly bent knee. And then when you push up from your glute and your soleus. Imagine that you're pushing the ball of your foot into the ground and slowly come up. And then do it again. Slowly bend over. I love this one as a pre-run warm-up for your soleus muscle. And do about 10 of these, 3 sets of 10 each leg. I promise you, your soleus, maybe even your feet are gonna start burning when you're doing that exercise. Really incredible. So my final tip, if you really want to burn out your calves, you have to go to the gym for this one. But if you have access to a Smith machine, imagine the Smith machine is here in front of me and there's a bar, right? You're gonna put the bar on your back and load it up with weight so much that you can't even lift it. And then you're just going to push up into a calf raise, right? The bar is behind my neck, right? But I'm pushing up into the bar as hard as I possibly can. And you're gonna do an isometric hold or a push, really, for 5 to 10 seconds. And then you switch legs and you do the other side. You will never feel parts of this much of your calf. You will never feel your calf in this way doing any other exercise. The isometric push against a bar lights up your calf muscle. So I highly recommend it if you really wanna work your calves. Okay. So the final muscle group that I really want to talk about today, perhaps the most important and the muscle group that most runners tend to struggle with the most, which is our hips, right? So we're going to talk about hips and glute med in particular, and I'm going to show you some creative exercises that go far above and beyond what a silly little clamshell will do that will actually challenge you, right? Ultrarunners, these are some of the most important muscles. This is all about hip stability. This is the #1 culprit for injuries in ultra running. So if you're gonna walk away and try any of the exercises that I'm showing you today, definitely pay attention to these. Now again, there are a lot of different exercises you could do, but I'm gonna show you a few of my favorites. First, I don't even really know what this is called. But we're gonna lay on our side, and what we're going to do, and we've got, you know, kind of a 90-degree angle here with our legs. We've got elbow on the floor. What you're gonna do is you're going to push up on one leg, so that is working your glute med, even on the leg on top too. Hold for just a second up here, come down slow and controlled. And make sure with all the movements that I'm showing you that they are slow and controlled throughout, right? Get that little hold at the top. That's what's really gonna create the burn. And again, same rule, you know, 3 sets of 10 each leg. So again, you're gonna turn around, you're gonna do the other side. This. Boy, does that light up your glute med, right? Okay. Now, another favorite exercise is gonna be the hip airplane. This one's a little tricky, and I'm gonna say this is the hip airplane with wall support. Doing this, if you could balance and do a hip airplane, you're better than me. I'm just gonna say that. Okay, so hip airplane. What you're gonna do, put your hand on the wall for support. You're on one leg, slightly bent knee here. When you think about what you're doing, you're opening your hip and closing it. So go all the way out to the side, airplane, and then close it all the way down. So you're almost kind of leaning in the other direction. Open all the way as far as you could go and close it. I'll show you on the other leg. Get a little bent knee, wall support. We're going to open the hip and close the hip. And again, 3 sets, 10 each leg. I promise you, you're gonna feel this in your glute med like nothing you've ever felt before. Okay, now here's a crazy exercise for both glute med and glute max. It's very non-traditional, it's a little tricky, so I'm gonna do my best to demonstrate it for you here. What you're gonna do is, this is my left leg. I've got kind of a 90-degree. Left leg is against the wall. You're gonna lay down, and this arm here, my left arm, straight out in front of me, right arm above my head. And you're gonna position yourself, I gotta get a little closer to the wall, just enough so that your right leg is barely touching the wall. You're gonna keep your hips tucked, right? No arching your back, keep your hips tucked. And on every exhale, you're gonna reach that leg up the wall like it's being pulled by somebody. Pull, 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 pull. And if you can, you're gonna feel this immediately in your glute. Your leg that's on the wall is just a little bit behind you and your hip is turned forward, right? So turning this hip in, you're gonna feel it in your glute. That is your glute med and glute max 100% lighting up. And if you do this for a few breaths, see if you can lift your leg off the wall. Holy crap. So that is incredible for glute engagement. Again, I feel this mostly glute med, a little bit of glute max, but that is super challenging. So such a great exercise to activate your glutes. Okay, now you're probably thinking, Courtney, this is great, but like you didn't talk about quads basically at all, except maybe the step-ups that I did. This is 100% true, and that's because what I actually recommend for trail runners is to work your quads running hard downhills outside. I personally never work quads in the gym because I feel that I get enough out on the trails, right? If you want to do one exercise, I'm going to throw you a bonus exercise right now. It's one of my favorites. It does have a little bit of quad work, but as well as kind of like glute med, glute max engagement, and it's called the shrimp squat. But just know that the fastest way to build quad strength and the most specific to trail running is to find a hill. It doesn't really matter how long, but just do some hill repeats. Run a hard downhill intentionally if you have a longer downhill. Do that once every couple weeks and kind of ease into it. Be very careful because you could also get injured if you do hard downhills too much too fast. But that's what I do to build quad strength, and I find that I don't really need to do anything else in the gym. So with me, you're not going to see lunges, you're not going to see squats. But what I will show you is the shrimp squat, which again, you know, I have to move for this. Bear with me. Okay, I got a lot of stuff going on. So you're gonna need something like a door frame that you could hang on to, right? Because this is really tricky if you don't hang on to anything. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna hang onto your door frame. My right leg is the working leg. And you're going to squat down, tap your left knee on the ground, left foot is lifted, right? And then pick yourself back up. Woo-hoo-hoo! Now the key is, don't put your weight on the non-working leg when you tap it, right? It's just a little tap, barely tapping the ground. Tap, back up. So this working leg Holy crap, I feel this in my glutes and my quad like crazy. Shrimp squats, really great. Again, like 8 to 10 reps, 3 sets each leg. You're gonna get your quads on fire and your glutes on fire. One of my favorite exercises. Can't forget about the glutes. Now, we've worked glutes in a lot of exercises that we've done today, but perhaps the most important and effective glute exercise that you could do is a single leg glute bridge / hip thrust. My PT doesn't like to call this a hip thrust because it kind of encourages the wrong motion, right? You'll see that nothing that I've demonstrated today has involved thrusting or momentum. More importantly, every single exercise is done slow and controlled because that's how you're really going to work the muscles, right? I love isometrics as a warm-up before a run. Like, just engage the muscle and hold it. You're gonna fire every single piece of that muscle at the exact same time. You're gonna turn everything on, your nervous system's gonna be sharp. So the longer you hold things and the more slow and controlled, the more effective they are. Okay, so that being said, let's talk about this quote unquote glute bridge. I suggest having a mat. What I'm doing right now in this box is kind of uncomfortable, but so I'm gonna do it without the weight. Let's get this out of the way just so I can demonstrate. Now, if you're just beginning, you could do this with 2 legs, right? The point is just to be super slow and controlled. And at the top, now you squeeze your glutes, right? I was telling you, I mean, it is important to still tuck your hips with this exercise. You don't want to be using your back. You want to feel this in your glutes, mainly. Maybe a tiny bit of hamstring. But once you get comfortable with the 2 leg, see if you could do single leg. You should be feeling this like 100% in your glute. This is like the best glute activation exercise out there. The best for glute strength. Once you get stronger, you could add weight to this. So take like a dumbbell, put it on top of one of your legs. Super effective. Again, add that little squeeze at the top. You could even do an isometric hold here and then come back down. Okay, so the final exercise I want to talk about, because I'd be very remiss if I didn't mention this, is your core. And I don't mean vanity core exercises. I'm going to show you one exercise and then recommend another for you to do for your core that's going to be far more effective than just sitting around doing crunches all day. This engages your deep core muscles, which is what you actually use when you run. And so this is actually tied to some breathing exercises, right? Because on that exhale, you should feel your lower core muscles engage when you exhale in your gait cycle, right? That's to be supporting your pelvis, so it's super important. So one way to train that is by doing this. So the most important thing about this exercise is that you want to keep your low back 100% in contact with the ground. That's what's going to make this actually challenging. Let me make sure I'm in the frame. So keeping that low back on the ground is the difference between this being really easy and really hard. So do not let your low back arch and pop off the ground. Keep it down. Then what you're gonna do is lift your feet up like an inch, barely half an inch off the ground. This is already gonna feel challenging, all right? You're gonna feel those deep core muscles working again. Keep that low back on the ground. Reach your arms up. Take an inhale. Exhale hard. Blow it all out, and you're gonna feel those deep core muscles engage like crazy. Do this 5 to 10 times, as many as you can. So inhale, exhale. Holy cow, deep core muscles. That is the #1 core exercise. Outside of this, I'm not gonna demonstrate it, but things like Palloff press, right? Anything that is training core stability, twisting motions, right? Like taking a cable and rowing. Those are all super great core exercises for runners. Again, don't really recommend the crunches and all of the stuff that kind of builds those superficial core muscles. I recommend those exercises that train your deep core muscles. Okay, so just a little recap of everything that we just went over. First and foremost, just know that these exercises, again, are my personal favorites as a trail and ultra runner, but they might not necessarily be the best exercises for you. Doing leg strength is super personal. You might be super experienced at this. These exercises might be too easy. There are ways to modify, but I just encourage you to, again, work with a physical therapist or personal trainer to customize these exercises for your needs and work around any injuries that you might have or injury concerns. That is the most important thing. But the next thing I'll say again is like when and how to do this. You know, it's best to make the hard days hard and the easy days easy. So I like to stack a leg day, honestly, with a speed work day. That's a great day to put it. Just don't put leg day on your long run day or a dedicated recovery run day, but pretty much any other day of the week is fair game. To make leg days optimally effective and to not kind of mess up your running, it is best that you separate leg days from your running by about 6 to 8 hours. So, you know, not all of us have that luxury, I understand. Even me, myself, I will go to the gym and I will do legs and then I will do kind of an easy workout. And I find that that works with me in my schedule. And, you know, if I'm doing legs, I do like to prioritize doing the strength training first before a run. But if you're at a peak training cycle or you're getting close to your ultra, I would deprioritize the leg strength in favor of your run. So do your run first and then maybe put the leg day later in the day or do legs after a run. There's actually some great data that suggests that doing leg strength after a run can be great for building up fatigue resistance. So that's something to consider when you think about when to put leg day in your plan. So I hope all of you found this helpful. Again, I'm not a PT. These probably weren't the best demos in the world. This video is probably kind of crappy, but I really appreciate you all watching. I get so many questions on strength training and what to do. I just had to show you my favorites. Again, they might not be perfect for you, so consult with a professional, but I hope these are helpful. Happy and safe running, y'all. See you soon.